Hey everyone, welcome back to your AML channel. You know, the global push for renewable energy, it's one of the most important things happening in our world today. But what if the money that's funding this big green revolution isn't actually that clean? Let's dig into a fascinating and kind of troubling irony. How the noble search for clean energy is actually creating brand new shadowy opportunities for financial crime. It's a pretty stark contrast, isn't it? On one hand, you have this clean hope, full future power by solar and wind, and on the other, the very real possibility that it's being financed by dirty money from all kinds of illicit sources. That's the central conflict we're really going to unpack here. Let's dive right in. To get a handle on the problem, you first have to ask, what is it about this booming green sector that makes it so attractive to criminals in the first place? Well, the very things that make this industry so exciting also make it incredibly vulnerable. It boils down to three big things that make renewables a prime target. First, just the sheer global scale of it all. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars flowing across borders for countless projects. It's a perfect storm where dirty money can just get lost in all the noise. Second, you've got the nature of the projects themselves. These aren't small-time investments. They require massive long-term upfront capital. For a criminal needing to launder immense sums of cash, that's an absolute dream. And finally, you have the wild card, cryptocurrency. Its whole promise of anonymity can take a murky financial trail and make it completely invisible. So we know the weak spots. How exactly do criminals exploit them? Let's open up the playbook, shall we? We're going to look at the four most common techniques they use to launder money right under our own noses, right in the heart of the renewable sector. First up, we've got a classic tool of the trade known as shell companies. Think of these as corporate ghosts. They exist on paper, often set up in places with gaps and oversights, but they don't have really any operations. Nope, they're created for just one purpose, to act as a mask, hiding who really owns a project and, more importantly, where the money is truly coming from. And just think about how this plays out in the real world. A criminal group wants to buy a huge piece of land for, say, a new wind farm. They can't just show up with bags of cash, right? So they use a shell company as a front. To any investigator, it just looks like a legitimate corporate purchase. And just like that, they wash their dirty money clean by tying to a tangible and, pretty ironically, green asset. Okay, so we've gone from hiding behind fake companies to a technique that hides in plain sight. And what's so clever about this next one is how deceptively simple it is. Overvaluing assets. Criminals will take a renewable energy project and just lie about its cost. They inflate the price tag so they can inject way more dirty money than the project is actually worth. So for instance, let's say a solar farm costs approximately $50 million to build. The criminals will just create paperwork saying it costs $80 million. They then invest their own $30 million in dirty money to cover that difference. And poof, that illicit cash is suddenly a legitimate stake in an overpriced but still seemingly clean energy project. The dirty money is now clean equity. The third technique, well, it's as old as crime itself. Good old-fashioned bribery and corruption. In this world, criminals are paying off key people, government officials, local inspectors, business leaders, and basically anyone who can look the other way. Willful blindness. Also, this grease money, as they call it, helps them fast-track permits, get their hands on government subsidies, and dodge any annoying regulations that might expose what they're really up to. So a criminal group wants to get a project. Approved fast in this case. No questions asked, a quick bribe to the right official, and it happens. But here's a really clever part. That bribe itself is then laundered through the company's books, maybe disguised as a consulting fee or anything else they can think of. So they get the projected loops all about deception, all about pure, unadulterated confusion. Seriously, think of it like creating a financial maze. Criminals use this dizzying web of offshore accounts, holding companies, and special purpose vehicles, all designed to do one thing: make the money totally impossible to trace back to its illegal source. And this is where things get really, really complicated. The dirty money doesn't just go from point A to point B. Oh no. It hops from an offshore account in one country through a holding company in another, and then maybe another before it even gets close to the final project. By the time investigators try to follow that trail, it's just a cold, convoluted mess. A mess that's designed to make them give up. So that's the playbook. It's complex, it's serious, and it's a direct threat to the integrity of this whole green transition. But what can actually be done about it? Let's start with the people putting up the capital, the investors. For investors, the key word here is being proactive. This means doing some intense due diligence. I'm talking about looking way beyond the glossy brochures and fancy projections. As you see here, it means scrutinizing the ownership structure for any hint of those shell companies we talked about. It means seriously assessing the project's own anti-corruption policies and vetting every single third party involved. It all comes down to asking the really tough questions before a single dollar is ever invested. But hey, it's not just on the investors, the financial institutions, the banks, the investment firms, it's the gatekeepers here. They have a massive responsibility to guard the entire financial system against these criminal inflows. So for these institutions, the key is vigilance. They need to go beyond the standard checks and perform what's called enhanced due diligence, which is basically a financial deep dive on these projects. This means digging and digging to find out who the real owners are, not just the names on a piece of paper. They have to assess the unique risks of every single project, and this is crucial. Keep monitoring for suspicious activity long after the deal is done. This isn't a one-time check. It has to be a constant watch. And all of this brings us to the final, really critical question. Look, the push for a green future is non-negotiable, but the integrity of that future totally depends on the foundation we build it on. The challenge isn't about building more solar panels and wind turbines. It's about building a transparent, ethical financial system to support them. The goal, after all, isn't just clean energy. It's a clean world. We hope that our content provides you not only with food for thought, but mainly with answers and hands-on solutions. If you would like for us to bring content related to your industry or sector, please comment below or email us. We appreciate our subscribers and followers. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you in our growing AML community. Your likes, comments, and shares are not only greatly appreciated, but also help us immensely. Until the next video.